Hi everyone, Neko here with another recap. Today's show is about a star student at a magic academy who constantly fails his summon familiar spell. But one day he unexpectedly summons a demon girl as his familiar. I hope you enjoy it. At the ODG Academy of Magic, Alto faces a crucial challenge. He must summon and contract with a magical companion, or else he'll be held back a grade. Unfortunately, he failed the summoning spell in the past. One day, luck seems to smile upon Alto. He stumbles upon an ancient book and decides to give the summoning spell another shot. Miraculously, the spell works, and a naked demon girl named Vermeil appears before him. Vermeil thanks Alto for releasing her from imprisonment by draining some of his mana with a kiss. She pledges to serve him in return for his summoning. However, Vermeil tries to seduce Alto to deepen their bond, but he firmly refuses. Instead, he has her wear his sister's dress and choose to maintain a more appropriate appearance. When Alto introduces her to the class as his companion, Vermeil cleverly conceals her horns and tail, passing herself off as a human. As fate would have it, Alto's childhood friend Lilia becomes envious of their bond. She challenges them to a duel with a wager on the line. If Lilia wins, Vermeil must stay away from Alto, and if Alto wins, Lilia has to obey one of his commands. The duel begins, and Lilia's familiar, Sylphid, launches a powerful wind attack. But Vermeil effortlessly blocks it and then uses her magic to arouse Lilia, causing her to forfeit the duel. Alto seizes the opportunity to order Lilia to be friends with Vermeil. However, Vermeil later reveals to Alto that Lilia has feelings for him, a claim that he finds hard to believe since he doesn't reciprocate those feelings. In an intriguing turn of events, Vermeil kisses and drains Alto's mana again, claiming that she needs to do so to survive. She suggests that engaging in physical relations would provide even more mana, attempting to seduce him. However, Alto draws the line and insists that a simple kiss is sufficient. One day, Vermeil astounds everyone as she effortlessly sends a rampaging dragon flying off into the far horizon with just a flick of her finger. However, Alto reprimands her for attracting so much attention. The dragon's owner and his older brother, Rex, menace them with Rex's dinosaur companion. Yet, Vermeil comes to the rescue by enhancing Alto's mana, empowering him to defeat their adversaries using his crystal magic. Alto expresses his aspiration to become an exceptional mage, and Vermeil gives her approval. The next day, they, along with Lilia, meet up with their friends Marx and Cheryl. The headmaster presents them with an exciting challenge. The one who can retrieve a rare fairy flower from the forest will become the class representative. As they race through the forest, Marx gets knocked out by a dangerous man-eating plant, leaving Cheryl to care for him. Meanwhile, the others encounter the flower guarded by a Cerberus with a cold. Quick-thinking Lilia drinks an invisibility potion, but it only affects her body, not her clothes. Embarrassed, she has to discard her garments. One of the Cerberus heads has an excellent sense of smell, allowing it to detect Lilia. Thankfully, Alto and Vermeil work together to knock out that head, allowing Lilia to safely grab the flower. However, in her embarrassment, Lilia drops the precious flower and it lands in Cheryl's hands. Cheryl becomes the class representative, and everyone congratulates her on her victory. It was a thrilling adventure filled with magic, challenges, and the strength of their friendship, as Alto and Vermeil's journey at the academy continues. Vermeil relishes indulging in contemporary cuisine for the very first time, while the dragon riders happen to pass by, causing everyone to marvel at their member Chris. After the physical education session, Cheryl motivates Lilia to reveal her emotions to Alto, while Lilia ponders over the possibility of Vermeil being human due to her extraordinary powers. In a dramatic fashion, Vermeil follows Alto into the male changing area. Later, she enters Alto's shower and attempts to entice him once more. Chris confronts Rex and expels him from the Dragon Riders not only for losing to Alto, but also because his familiar is a dinosaur rather than a dragon. When Alto discovers what occurred, he becomes furious and challenges Chris to a duel. She accepts the challenge and summons her dragon. Vermeil significantly amplifies Alto's mana, but Chris' fiery spells are potent enough to shatter Alto's crystal constructs, and even harm Vermeil when she attempts to block them. Chris ascends into the sky, riding on her dragon's back, and proudly asserts that dragons are the supreme beings, deeming all other creatures, including dinosaurs, as inferior. Determined to prove her wrong, Vermeil once again supercharges Alto, and he creates an immense crystal construct. Alto and Vermeil utilize the construct as a diversion to approach Chris, wielding a crystal dagger at her throat, thereby triumphing in the duel. Thanks to his victory, Alto gains popularity among the ladies, which makes Lilia envious. However, Professor Obsidian delivers a lecture, cautioning Alto not to treat duels lightly. Chris takes responsibility for her actions, and makes amends with Rex. Vermeil tries once more to entice Alto, but he firmly believes that one should only share a kiss with someone they genuinely love. In response, she confesses her love for him, leaving him troubled. Seeking clarity on human-demon relationships, Alto seeks advice from Obsidian, who explains that demons usually desire humans solely for their mana. Alto confronts Vermeil, but she proves her sincerity by kissing him without depleting his energy. However, a disturbing incident occurs when Obsidian seduces a student named Emma, only to inject her with an unknown substance and leave her frozen in ice. Though she is eventually rescued, Emma falls into a coma, and the student council reveals that she is the third student to have been attacked in this manner. As part of their studies, the class is assigned to write reports on their familiars. Reluctantly, Alto measures Vermeil's body for his report, while Lilia spies on them jealously, using an invisibility potion after trusting Cheryl with her clothing. On Alto's report, he lists Vermeil's preferences as sweets, but Vermeil adds a touching note, stating that she loves Alto. Meanwhile, a possessed Rex and his mutated dinosaur viciously assault Chris and her dragon. In a flashback, Rex conjured his dinosaur as an egg, and Chris aided him in hatching it, mistakenly believing it to be a dragon egg. Vermeil causes embarrassment for Alto by displaying public affection, and then Rex's brother implores their assistance. Rex persists in assaulting Chris, demonstrating an unusual resilience to her fire spells, and his body starts undergoing a disturbing mutation. Just as his brother, Alto, and Vermeil arrive, Rex declares his desire for revenge against Alto as well. However, the arrival of the student council president, Elena, interrupts the situation, and she swiftly incapacitates Rex and his dinosaur with her sword. Chris remains by Rex's side, tending to him in the infirmary. As an exam approaches, Vermeil departs, and Lilia eagerly proposes to study with Alto alone. Vermeil encounters Obsidian and confronts him, stating that she knows he is behind the attacks on students, urging him to cease his actions. However, he responds by injecting her with something that inflicts agony, forcing her to release dark energy. The disturbance catches everyone's attention, and Elena rushes to the location. Yet, a creature summoned by Obsidian obstructs her path. Meanwhile, as Alto hurries to the scene, Vermeil undergoes an uncontrollable transformation into a monstrous state while Obsidian revels in his actions. Elena engages in a fierce battle with Obsidian's monster, which possesses the uncanny ability to regenerate after each attack. Meanwhile, Obsidian ensnares Vermeil by placing a magical chain around her neck, attempting to control her. Just as Alto and Lilia arrive on the scene, Obsidian takes pleasure in boasting about his past actions of attacking people and injecting them with demon essence, aiming to transform them into demons. However, he now believes he has a real demon under his control in Vermeil. Unexpectedly, Vermeil breaks free from the chain's grip and launches an assault on Obsidian. Alto, in an act of bravery, shields Obsidian and ends up being pierced by Vermeil's claws. Enraged by the harm caused to Alto, she attacks Obsidian once again, but Alto intervenes, pleading with her not to resort to killing. Exhausted, Alto collapses. Vermeil reverts to her normal state and uses her healing powers to mend Alto's wounds. Obsidian is shocked and bewildered, as demons aren't supposed to possess healing abilities. In his desperation, he injects himself with his formula, resulting in a monstrous transformation as he vows to exterminate them all. Vermeil effortlessly punches a hole through Obsidian, causing him to panic and attempt to escape by flying away. However, Chris swiftly shoots him down, and Vermeil knocks him unconscious. The monster Elena was battling retreats from the confrontation. As a consequence of his actions, Obsidian is apprehended, and all his victims awaken from their comatose state. Later, Vermeil sorrowfully reveals to Alto that in order to heal him, she linked their life forces together, which means if one of them perishes, the other will also meet the same fate. Subsequently, Vermeil withdraws emotionally from Alto, claiming her monstrous form represents her true self, insisting that they should stay apart. Unfazed, Alto expresses his feelings, kissing her unexpectedly and leaving her flustered by the unexpected display of affection. The girls grieve over the loss of Obsidian, while the boys express their discontent that Vermeil has been absent from class. Lilia has a meeting with Vermeil, assuring her that she doesn't consider her evil despite being a demon. Lilia also trusts Alto to help Vermeil control her powers if the need arises. Vermeil returns to Alto's room, and they reconcile their differences, sharing a heartfelt kiss. Meanwhile, after mercilessly attacking the inhabitants of a church, a warlock named Iolite and a witch named Heliodor discuss Obsidian's failure, labeling him a fool. However, they acknowledge the value of his research and intend to continue his work. Eventually, Vermeil switches to a school uniform and rejoins the class. But their reunion is abruptly interrupted when the student council apprehends both Iolite and Heliodor. Elena expresses regret for her inability to assist during the confrontation with Obsidian, and reveals that he has escaped from prison. To obtain the truth, they corner Alto with swords drawn. Under pressure, they confess that Vermeil is indeed a demon and their lives are intertwined with hers. Jessica, a member of the student council, proposes destroying Vermeil, but Elena surprises her by accepting the revelation and asserting that Vermeil is not inherently malevolent. As a gesture of faith, Elena invites Alto to join the student council. Despite harboring suspicions about Elena's intentions, Alto ultimately accepts her proposal, which fills Lilia, Marx, and Cheryl with pride. Later, Vermeil cautions Alto that she has doubts about Elena's human identity. The two of them attend a council meeting but accidentally walk in on Elena, Chris, and Jessica in the process of changing clothes. Jessica becomes flustered, but Alina and Chris brush it off, admitting it was their oversight for not locking the door properly. During the meeting, Alina presents a piece of the creature she battled, and together they examine the specimen, discovering an unprecedented form of magic. Meanwhile, Iolite and Heliodor meet the creature's master, Koakimiya. Iolite incurs her wrath when he confesses to killing someone he was supposed to recruit. Following this encounter, they decide to target Alto and Vermeil. Alto experiences a peculiar dream wherein he sees a young Vermeil crying in a city in ruins. A woman presents him with a choice to aid humanity and bring salvation or support Vermeil, potentially leading to destruction. Upon awakening, he feels anxious about the upcoming exam. In an effort to boost his confidence, Vermeil kisses him to draw out and then amplify his mana. Students from all across the country assemble to take the exam, and the professor demonstrates a crystal ball containing a flickering flame, explaining that they must infuse their mana into the flame to strengthen it. Several students attempt to influence the flame during the exam, but fail to make any impact. Lilia astutely recognizes that their failure stems from their focus on the crystal rather than the flame itself. Demonstrating her expertise, she effortlessly enlarges the flame. Cheryl, along with a student from another school, also succeeds in enlarging the flame, while Marx manages to barely make an impact and pass the test. Alto is the last to attempt the task. He realizes that approaching the crystal from behind makes pouring mana easier, but Vermeil goads him into showing off. Consequently, he pours his mana from the most challenging angle, causing the flame to grow so much that it shatters the crystal. Although he feels apologetic, the professor reassures him that he has passed the exam. Alto and his friends share a picnic before the written exam, supporting and encouraging each other. Vermeil seizes a moment to pull Alto into a hallway for a passionate kiss, almost causing him to be late for the written test. Meanwhile, the student from the other school goes to the bathroom and expresses annoyance at Alto's showmanship. Unbeknownst to him, Iolite sneaks in and ruthlessly murders him, stealing his test ticket. Elsewhere, Alina and Jessica engage in fencing practice. Following Alina's victory, they discuss Alto and Vermeil. Jessica remains incredulous that Alto summoned a demon, while Alina firmly believes that their feelings for each other are evident. As Alto reaches the test room, Vermeil must wait outside. Iolite enters and sits next to Alto, offering him well wishes for the exam. Vermeil sits outside, feeling somewhat bored, but then she recalls how Alto had made a promise to protect her. Inside the exam room, Alto becomes anxious when he notices Iolite falling asleep right after the test begins. Despite the distraction, Alto focuses on completing the test. After a short while, Iolite wakes up and speedily finishes the test within seconds, ridiculing Alto for his apparent slowness. As the professor scolds Iolite for talking, a guard interrupts with the grim news of finding the murdered student's body. It dawns on the guard that Iolite isn't actually a student. Iolite casually admits that he only took the test for amusement, summoning a stone golem to crush the professor's legs. Amidst the chaos, the students, except for Alto, evacuate the area. Vermeil and the professor from the previous exam arrive on the scene. Guards drag Lilia, Marx, and Cheryl out of the building, but when they try to re-enter, a mysterious spatial distortion sends them back outside. The golem proves impervious to all attacks and seizes Vermeil. Fueled by rage, Alto unleashes an explosion of power, shattering the golem. However, Iolite summons more golems, and one of them impales Alto's shoulder. Curious about Iolite's intentions, Alto inquires about his motives, and Iolite reveals his group's sinister plan to harness demons to destroy the world. Vermeil transforms into her monstrous form, but Iolite easily incapacitates her. He attempts to kill Alto, but the book Alto used to summon Vermeil shields him. At that moment, the woman from Alto's dream appears, identifying herself as the memory of the mage of the beginning, the very person who had sealed Vermeil. Despite Iolite's attempts to attack, she freezes time and transports Alto into Vermeil's memories. Suddenly, he finds himself transported 550 years into the past, witnessing a young, joyous version of Vermeil happily at play. The mage of the beginning reveals that Vermeil had been raised by a nun in the company of orphans Miel, Lynn, and Kate. Despite being aware of her demon heritage, they accepted her without prejudice. Tragedy struck one day when the townspeople discovered Vermeil's true nature, and falsely blamed her for a plague plaguing the country. Fueled by anger, they formed a furious mob and laid siege to the church where she sought refuge. Niel implored Vermeil to escape, and she nearly made it out of town until she overheard the mob plotting to kill her newfound family. She dashed back to the church but arrived too late, finding her loved ones hanged. Overwhelmed with grief and rage, she lost control and transformed into her monstrous state for the first time, exacting vengeance and reducing the town to ashes. As Alto, appalled by the harrowing tale, processes the information, the mage explains that Vermeil's actions constituted her crime and the reason for her eventual sealing. Despite the gravity of her past, Alto discovers he can interact with Vermeil and offers her comfort. Vermeil transforms into her adult self, shedding tears of remorse, believing her crime can never be undone. However, Alto reassures her that he doesn't care about her past, and kisses her lovingly. As they return to the real world, Alto fearlessly proclaims his love for Vermeil, embracing her wholeheartedly. Iolite summons an enormous golem and proclaims that Vermeil's sole purpose is to bring about the world's destruction. However, Vermeil and Alto swiftly silence his words, combining their powers to dismantle the golem. Heliodor arrives and warns them that she can't maintain the spatial warp much longer, prompting her and Iolite to flee through a portal. Vermeil identifies the mage of the beginning as Fatima. Fatima affectionately regards Vermeil as her dear friend and implores Alto to care for her. Before vanishing, Fatima restores the damaged building to its original state. Subsequently, Alto endeavors to become stronger to protect Vermeil, undergoing rigorous training in fencing and martial arts under the guidance of Jessica and Chris. Despite being repeatedly defeated in sparring sessions due to his lack of strength and experience, Alto remains determined to improve. As they lie in bed together, Vermeil expresses her love for Alto as well. During a student council meeting, Elena emphasizes the importance of collaboration to put an end to the attacks, and all members wholeheartedly agree. Lilia, Marx, and Cheryl receive their test results and are relieved to find that they all passed. However, Lilia's jealousy is aroused when Alto fails to appear, leading her to suspect he may be engaged in something with Vermeil. Indeed, Alto and Vermeil are seen sharing a public display of affection, reveling in their love for one another and resolute in their commitment to protect each other. And this is all for this video. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.